Well, hey everybody, this is Don. Welcome to the vlog of many things. And you know what? Come to think about it, I might want to go ahead and get the bloody right banner up at top instead of Wizard Tower Games ones. We are the professional operation that we always are. I am your host, Don.
And I'm Tom.
And below us, we have Mr. David Flor of Kickstarter fame, Atomic Age,
Comic Age.
DL Media,
Thank you. Glad to
and
be
the
here.
Rat on Facebook. See, I didn't say mouse this time.
It's not a.
What is it?
It's a rabbit.
It's a rabbit, sorry.
It's the rabbit from Monty Python there.
Would you guys sit there at
you
least show some bloody ears in the thing then, so I keep
Ah.
not screwing it all up?
I use that icon as the avatar of a AI in an alternate reality game I ran 10 years ago, and it kind of stuck. So
Fine. Well, anyway, David, thank you very much for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
good to be here.
All right. For those of you who do not know, David Flor is a regular in the social medias for gaming, and he currently is developing and has a Kickstarter up for a post-apocalyptic role-playing game called Atomic Age, where, David, it's what, post, like World War III United States?
Yeah, I try not to be specific because depending on situations that you can choose.
Mhm.
I mean, 99% of the time it ends up being war, but it could be plague, could be aliens, could be whatever you want to make it. I leave it kind of open ended.
Zombie apocalypse.
That too.
Now-
I have slated for I have Atlanta in one of my early revs. I had Atlanta swarmed by zombies. Giving a nod to Walking Dead.
Nice.
One of that's actually kind of wise because I remember back in the 1980s they set Car Wars in 2032. 2032 or 2033, the Car War is when the Car Wars setting was set, and so we're rapidly encroaching upon that, and America's not falling apart, and we don't have combat driving on the. Well, we do have combat driving in Boston, but we don't have cars armed with guns and people lighting each up with recoilless rifles, lasers, and machine guns. So
I like to think of I like to think of reasonably far future. I get a kick out of, like, recently I saw Running Man, and Running Man is set in 2017. So
yeah.
Terry and Scott, thank you for tuning into the video, by the way. Much appreciated, both of you. Now, David.
Richard
Go ahead.
Dawson was the star of Running Man, honestly.
Who?
Richard Dawson,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
the game
I'd
show.
buy that for $1. Now, David, okay, another role-playing game, post-apocalyptic. I know some people are going to say that. What makes Atomic Age unique?
Well, I posted recently the backstory as to why Atomic Age is a thing, and that was that I wanted to create Gamma World stuff, and Wizards threatened to sue me. So I kind of decided to do my own thing, and I mean, I described that since I'm a software architect and a math and computer science major, it's very crunchy. It's very I like to compare it to Pathfinder, or D20, or 13th Age, which so happens 13th Age 2nd Edition launched this morning, which is, I was hoping it wouldn't happen at the same time as my Kickstarter, but here we are. And it's mechanically, it's kind of a combination between D20 and 13th Age.
Really?
It's the traditional D20 that most people are familiar with, but the way I define the classes is the 13th Age style. 10 levels.
Mm-hmm.
Each class is functionally different from the real easy ones. If you want to run a character that just hits things till they die from it,
Yeah.
you can have very simple classes, or you can, if you want to go like the quote unquote casting route, there are more complex classes that you can use as well.
What are some of the classes that's in the game?
Currently, there are 6 classes. There's the channeler, which is kind of like an element. I like to compare it to like a wizard or a sorcerer.
Mm-hmm.
The engineer, the scion. Those are the 3 caster classes, and then the I guess the martial classes are the marauder, the scout, and the veteran.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm curious because when you said the engineer, I was like, oh, that's what I'm going to play. But the engineer is a caster class. What sort of magic is he casting, or is he just doing technology as magic?
The engineer is very influenced by cyberpunk in
Okay.
that, or not Shadowrun to some degree. They have what they refer to as an engineering deck, and their spells are actually programs that they can execute.
Okay. No,
Oh, so basically, instead of spells, they're computer programs.
Yes, they are actually listed as such. And in addition to that, engineers there's a separate rule mechanic for hacking for computer hacking.
Nice,
oh, cool.
So
nice.
you can load special programs into your deck, and they give you bonuses or when you do hacking
Yeah.
attacks.
So it's got that really weird kind of. And I don't mean to use the term weird in a bad way, in a really good way. I mean it. It's got that kind of Gamma World vibe kicking with the programming.
With the side of Shadowrun.
Yeah.
Well, it. I originally decided, okay, I want to do something like Gamma World, so I started to create this thing. And then as I was creating it, there are like a large part of it is very similar to Mad Max because
Mm.
there's vehicle rules. The majority of the United States is just barren desert. Um,
A little
I even
Damnation Alley in there too.
about what?
A little bit of Damnation Alley in there too.
Yeah, and other areas are there's a Shadowrun aspect with the engineer. There's a lot of there's a lot of Fallout references. It's funny.
Mm,
It's funny because um, instead of races, I use genotypes. So you can specify whether you're human, whether you're a robot, whether you're anthro, which is kind of like the catch-all. Basically, you're anthropomorphic. So you define your species or your genotype by characteristics. Are you light, heavy, agile? Whether you can fly, things of that nature. But one of the robots I actually referred to as synths, and that was actually I started calling them synths before Fallout 4 came out. Somebody pointed out that they were all the way back in Fallout 3, which I do not remember.
so is it kind of like a so the synth that's like almost has like it sounds like you're kind of taking almost like a cue from Blade Runner there.
Uh, yeah, it can be. When you create your genotypes, you can create a humanoid, a synth, or a cyborg, which is a hybrid of the two.
Mm-hmm.
And when you create a cyborg, you specify which side you favor, whether you're more man or more machine.
Mm.
And that affects how you react to psychic damage, how you react to electromagnetic damage, um, all the additional abilities that you might have, and things of that nature.
So you're really taking, for lack of a better way of putting this, and I'm trying not to give too much away because I've seen it. But the thing is you're really taking races and classes in the classic sense, and you're kind of turning them upside down because what you're doing is you're bringing in a whole lot of different genres, and you're kind of just like, but they're done I'll say something on as an independent person who has seen the game. It's really good. I mean, I'm not just saying that because I'm got Dave on the show. I mean, it is really well done with a lot of this that he's
It,
done.
Mm.
it's funny because, like I said, I'm very into mechanics. I'm very weak on lore. So yes, this has been in development for 12 years, 10 or 12, about 12 or
Mm-hmm.
13 years. And like I have all the mechanics down. And then I wrote all the mechanics. And I'm like, okay, what do I do with this? There are some systems that are mechanics but no lore. Like you look at
Mm-hmm.
Cipher System or Powered by the Apocalypse or whatever. I wasn't quite ready for that. I don't think so. In the last couple of years, I started to put together the lore of the actual, the continental United States and the what I refer to as the powers that be, which are kind of like 13th Age icons. They're not as prevalent as they are in 13th Age. In 13th Age, icons pretty much are everything. So they're not as much in this game. They're just more, they're basically very important NPCs.
Mm-hmm. Gunther the Mad, real quick. Gunther, thank you for tuning in. Gunther says he's really glad he tuned in tonight. He says, I totally missed the Kickstarter launch. Gunther, I'm going to be periodically throughout this video, on the very bottom, I'm going to be posting the link to David's Kickstarter Direct. So
Don, you should actually post a link in the chat. People will be able to click on it.
I will do that.
If it's in the chat. The banner across the bottom, I don't think they click on. Yeah.
Just went ahead. We posted a link to it, by the way. And
I will point out, the programmer that I am, on my third screen, I actually have an app that I wrote that pings Kickstarter every 10 seconds and tells me how it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever the amount funded goes up, it actually dings me.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
And I could make it play music once it funds. I haven't chosen which song to play yet.
Mm-hmm.
So
now I'd like to address something real quick, because for those of you who do not know, me and David are working together on this RPG project. I'm going to be doing the pencil artwork in it, and I'm also doing the book covers. And I want to address AI art for a moment, because I think it's very important to get this out of the way in the very beginning, because we have gotten some comments about AI art that was used, possibly used, and whatnot. And do you want me to explain, David, or do you want to?
I can explain some of it, and
okay.
correct me if I misspeak.
No problem.
First part, BackerKit. I was originally going to launch on BackerKit, just because I wanted to try something different, and BackerKit seemed successful for a lot of other people. BackerKit kind of screwed us, because they looked at the art, which I know you created,
mm-hmm.
and they said, this is AI.
Yep.
And then we tell them, no, it's not. And they're like, we don't care. This is AI.
Yep.
So I think we went through like 2-3 covers.
We went through 3.
And they kept saying, for everyone, they said, this is AI. Prove to us that it's not. And we're like, I don't know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of screwed us. That delayed us for a good.
And it was at the last minute to boot.
Yeah.
We were just getting ready. David was just getting ready to go live with BackerKit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's getting to the point where you've got to save exports of every stage of the drawing as you work on it, because the AI detectors are simply detecting the same brushes that you use in Photoshop that the AI uses, and so they're going.
Well, the thing is, the comment that was made to me by somebody is that on the Kickstarter right now, there's a placeholder image of a book cover with a mushroom cloud. That is a placeholder image only. David actually pulled that as a reference.
That was a separate. After we went through all the issues with BackerKit, and BackerKit has a policy where they absolutely do not allow AI at all. And they basically said, well, you can't launch. So we switched to Kickstarter. Kickstarter allows AI, but you got to be very explicit about how you use AI and where. Fine. In the last minute rush, at this point we were like, we picked a day a month ago, and we switched to Kickstarter literally 2 days before.
Mm-hmm. We were up. Me and David were up at 12:30 at frickin' night, working together on PM, going back and forth, trying to get a bloody cover done in time to make the go live.
So I said, screw it. I went to Free Pick. I specifically, there's, I don't know if you're familiar with Free Pick. There's an option on the left that says you can exclude AI.
Mm-hmm.
I did that, and I found the mushroom cloud image. And I said, okay, I'll use that. And then I did that. I put it on in all the marketing. I put it on the Kickstarter page, and I got it ready to launch. The fact that we didn't launch, that's we'll get to that. But anyway, after that, I contacted the artist. I figured, let's be safe. And the artist's exact words are like, yes, this is my art. I use Stable Diffusion.
That's an oxymoron if I ever heard one.
That's not your art then. So the Kickstarter has that really big disclaimer saying we apologize, we screwed up. It's AI. We freely admit it. We didn't know it. Yada yada yada.
And to be clear on something, that cover that's right now in the Kickstarter image is only, for an example, coming soon, puppy dog.
Yeah.
And basically there's going to be a full production unique cover to be done.
And
I just want to get that out of the way because people,
all the images in the Kickstarter say, this is temporary.
Yeah.
Not final art.
Yep. So, and the art that's coming is really good stuff, by the way.
I was really happy with the bestiary cover.
And it's not AI.
No, it is not. And actually, credit where credit's due. The actual image that's going to be used for the AI cover is by Eric Lofgren, a very talented artist, and he does not use AI. Scott Mulder, welcome to the show. He says the AI detector witch hunt is terrible. Sometimes my workflow becomes the final and there are no progression to show or prove. If I ink a pencil sketch, then there is no longer it's no longer a pencil sketch.
I don't know if you're familiar with Dyson Logos. They've done maps for Wizards and a whole bunch of people. And
they've been doing it for 15 years.
Yeah. And I posted on Facebook the fact that Becker Kit said we're AI. He took his own maps, put them in AI detectors, and the AI detector said, "Oh no, that's AI."
Yep.
Literally maps that he just painted that same day, and they're like, "No, it's AI."
Yeah, Dyson 15 years ago was sketching on graph paper, scanning it in, changing colors, in Photoshop. He was doing great, and this guy's, he's not going to suddenly switch to AI. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But following it for years,
well, when you got his skill level, you don't need AI. I mean, that guy can crank out maps like I can crank out stick figures. I mean, that guy just
he did the map for me, the wilderness map for Mysidian Temple for me.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well, the thing is, that's the only reason I wanted to bring up the AI thing, because I know it's an issue. I know it's been brought up. There's been people, we got an email when we announced that we were doing the covers for it, and we just wanted to sit there and I just wanted to sit there and say, hey, this is what's going on. Don't worry, good stuff coming. This is a very worthwhile Kickstarter that you really do want to back and help fund.
Yeah, I was kind of bothered that basically it.
Well, they didn't use AI.
What was that?
Huh?
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm trying to mute and unmute, and I was talking to the good wife.
All right.
Just on the AI issue, look, I'm not against AI. I'm just not for unethical use of AI like it's being used with artists' works. I mean, just recently on the news, you had, I think it was Randy Travis, country singer, who had a stroke. He's aphasic, which means he can no longer speak. And he had written a song, and then he used AI to clone samples of his voice, and the AI has him singing the song he wrote. And I think that's cool. Here's a guy, he wrote a song. He's not been able to speak to the world because he's aphasic from his stroke, but he's using AI to do his own voice. And it is his own voice.
Using his own voice, because there are AI things out there that people want to sound like Randy Travis.
Right.
And so they have stolen and created.
But don't they? But this is interesting too, because you bring up the whole thing with music, and this is the route that AI is going down, by the way, I think, is keep in mind one thing, in the last maybe 15 years or so, remember when auto-tune came out for music and people were like, oh, that's, you're, and now it's the standard thing that artists use all the time. So I think AI, and I'm not trying to I'm not trying to take this down a detour, but it really matters, I think, because of Kickstarter, AI, and I think AI is going to become a normal thing to use, accepted, but it's got to be responsible AI. So, but at any rate, okay, David, so Kickstarter funds, what is it? Hardcover, softcover, PDF, what's going to be available?
we have digital, we have hardcovers, we have a GM screen, we have a stretch goal of if we get 40 premier backers at the $100 level, we're gonna provide a brass D6 bullet dice to every premier person. And I'm sure I'm missing something. Oh, we have character sheets as well.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So, and the cover, the just to cover something else about the books is they're going to be full color, high res covers with black and white interior, heavyweight semi-gloss paper. So it's going to have a really nice feel. It's going to be basically the quality that you're going to get when you open up a WotC book. It's actually the same paper that I'm using to bind it because I'll be the one binding the books.
Oh, so you're printing them?
Yes, I'm printing and binding them. Yeah.
And we also have Alyssa Faden, which is a very talented cartographer, has agreed to do our U.S. map.
Yeah, Alyssa Faden, she does good work. Yeah, that's good.
And so, I mean, we have a bunch of stretch goals, which seem really optimistic at this point, but who knows? I do have some artists potentially lined up for those, but I don't want to announce them yet because I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Now, right now, let me real quickly pull it up. Right now, the Kickstarter has a goal of $16,000, and it has 22 days to go. And David, you are at 43.45.
27.2%.
27.2%, exactly. Hey, you're over a quarter there.
Yep.
And I mean, look, I'm an optimist. When I look at this and I say, okay, you are 7 days into your Kickstarter and you are a quarter in, if you keep up this pace, okay, with no changes, you're on track if you keep up this pace to fund. And for those of you tuning in, watching this and such, go on in there. Anything that you can do, if you can go ahead and just give Dave a buck to help support him, or hopefully, a higher tier. This is a really cool Kickstarter by a small game publisher who has put a hell of a lot of work into this game. And the game is real well done, real well thought. It's not half-assed at all.
Right now, the core book is about, I'd say, you've seen it, 80% done? It's 220 pages right now. And the bestiary right now is like 100 pages.
David?
Yeah.
Terry R., thank you very much.
I see it. I'm getting ting.
Oh, you're getting ting. That's right.
So David, you're going to need to make that app available for the rest of us.
that's crossed my mind. Unfortunately, Kickstarter doesn't provide an actual API. The only data point they expose is how many backers and how much.
Yeah.
How much you've raised.
But an app like this, even if people are paying like $1.99 to be able to have it, how many people out there are doing Kickstarters? That's a wide customer base. Oops. Somebody sneezed off camera.
I probably will. Right now I have it on a private Bitbucket, so I guess I have to clean it up, document it, and then I'll see what I can do with it.
So what is downrange? You've got the RPG, you've got the bestiary. Within the bestiary, how many monsters about is there?
Last I counted, or like 140.
So 140 monsters. And what's the retail going to be for those who don't back the project, but maybe later on they want to go purchase the book?
I haven't thought of that far.
Okay.
Yeah, right now the books, I think the hardcover is at 40. The hardcover core book I think is at 40, and the bestiary is at 35.
Okay, yeah, probably $39.99 and $34.99 respectively.
Yeah, it'll probably be around that too.
Yeah. Now, presuming the Kickstarter goes well, you fund the core RPG and the bestiary, life is good. What are your plans downrange along with the base core rules and the bestiary?
Currently I have 4 adventures that are right now they're stretch goals. which will be done. Let me clarify something. Whether this funds or not, I will release this product. I'm definite of that. I mean, if this funds, it'll be a lot nicer, a lot easier. If not, it will get published, but I might have to cut some corners. But I have at least four adventures planned, and I've given some thought about some supplements, some lore material for several aspects of what's left in the United States. I haven't thought that far ahead.
Yeah,
but you do have some adventure modules planned. Tell us a little bit about the first adventure module. What is it about? What makes it interesting?
I guess the first adventure module is actually included in the core book. It's Fire from the Sky. It is a rehash of the Gamma World adventure that I got nearly sued for, which technically is not supposed to exist, but now I'm rebuilding it using my own engine. As stretch goals, we have the Fortress of Dr. Neb, that's a really screwball adventure.
Tell us about
it. Sorry, joking. Hold on.
And I just want to say here that I appreciate everybody supporting. Supporting an indie publisher, because this indie publisher in particular has actually done a really good service for the community in all of his reporting and staying on top of the new TSR dumpster fire. And so, he's been one of the faces out there on Twitter. We have collaborated behind the scenes where he supplied me with information and then I ran with it, or, I reported something, and, so it's just the constant give. It really, what he's been doing these past couple of years has been a tremendous service, I think, to the OSR community. And so supporting him, not only are you just getting a good product, but it's about saying, hey, thanks, dude. Thank you for your service, I guess, if I could say it that way.
Well, also, real quick, Wabler here, Rod said he just pledged $100. He says, we indie publishers need to support each other. Rod, thank you very much. And just some information, Rod is a indie publisher himself, and he's a really good guy. Me and him are friends. We've talked online. He really backs us fellow publishers. I mean, he puts it where he is. Scott Mulder says $70 pledge submitted. Take my money. Hey, you know what? We got a video going. We're talking about your game, Dave, and we already got 3 people backing it. Thank you very much, Scott.
We've done better today than yesterday.
Yep. Bo Paints Minis, thanks for tuning in the video. He says, from the link, the Atomic Age role-playing system and setting is a D20-based role-playing system. Is this just reskin D&D?
It's inspired by D&D, but like the class mechanics are based on they're based on 13th Age. 13th Age is the first edition of 13th Age is based off D&D 4th edition, so kind of. I mean, I don't like to say it's not a 5e setting if that's what you're looking for.
Well, and not only that, but I think that pretty much if you're going to do a role-playing game, you're going to get some, especially if you're doing it and you're a gamer, you're getting some inspiration from the games that came before you. I mean you can't help it.
There are saving throws, there are skill checks, there are attack rolls, and with modifiers, you roll a d20.
Yeah.
Players and DMs roll dice. That was the one thing that makes me hesitate about Cypher system, that the DM never rolls dice, and that just, I don't like that. I like to roll dice.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
So,
and what successful game out there other than Traveler, really successful game doesn't use the D20 mechanic? I mean, and there's all the iterations of it. There's the BX, the 1E, the 2E, the 3.5. We don't even discuss 3, 4 and 5. But all of these things are, if you go with that armor class and the attributes and you're rolling a D20, roll high. If you go with these things, and hit points and saving throws, this is familiar language to all gamers across the board. People recognize this and they hear it and they immediately track. You almost have to do D20. Unless you're me and you're really stuck on a D100 obsolete game.
No, you're not stuck on D100. No.
And there are a lot of D6 games out there as well. So
yeah.
Traveler, Cephas Engine, the 2D6 games
yeah.
are nice for the bell curve.
Yeah.
You've got the bell curve and you can play with that. So
now, so we got people back in the project. You're up to over $4,500 now. That is absolutely awesome.
This is now officially my biggest Kickstarter. It's my ninth, and yeah, I've passed my other 8.
You originally did that module that you found that you had written as a kid.
Yes.
The first Kickstarter I saw you do.
I did that. I redid Save-Off, which was one I was nominated for an Emmy for. I did a couple of one-offs, just short adventures, just to get them out there. My big campaigns, Chapter 1, I did as well on Kickstarter. I mean, I've had 8 Kickstarters up to now. I've funded 8. I mean, they haven't been this big, but
and you've delivered
all except, admittedly, all except the last one, Masidian Temple, which I am still working on.
So
I'm about 90% done on that.
So you're not a Whit Whitman.
No, I don't disappear. I mean, admittedly, there's a very small, full disclosure. I still am working on Masidian Temple, which is a Kickstarter. That's almost done. I ran a very small test project on GameFound called The Mystery of Beacon Hill. My experience with GameFound was not good. And I only got like $300 there, but that project is still outstanding. I admit that.
But the trick is if you have an issue with the Kickstarter, and I've got an issue with one of my Kickstarters being delayed, update, keep people updated, keep people informed. I mean, it happens. I mean.
I've been doing Kickstarter updates for Masidian Temple. I like to think fairly often. Beacon Hill, I admit I have not, just because GameFound is just such a personal aversion. It did not go well. It just I just don't like GameFound. Let's put it that way. And I 90% of the time I actually forget about it because I want to take it out of my pretend that never happened. But,
do the Harry Potter thing with the wand and just pull the memory out.
Yeah. But then occasionally somebody does remind me, and I acknowledge that, yes, I still owe that, and yes, I am still working on it. I have a map, and Beacon Hill is about 70% done.
Well, you know what? The nice thing is got a good Kickstarter going here. It's a worthy project. This video so far is bringing in some cash for you, and that's a great thing. Now, you are famously quoted, and you're pretty famous for this now. You've been kind of depressed lately because you weren't on any lists. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, is we all are familiar with Justin Lanasa, new TSR, the fiasco, whatever you want to call it. And there are several of us present and in the audience right now that have were put on a list. There's actually an official Excel spreadsheet that was leaked.
Like 20 names.
Yeah. Prominently.
Tom, do you know how upset I got when I saw that you mentioned the fact that you're number 3 in your Twitter profile?
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, God damn it. What does a guy got to do?
Yeah.
I mean,
But the nice thing is, I would like to congratulate David Flor. He made it on a list.
Well, it took me 2 years.
It took you 2 years, but you know what? let me show everybody the list here, okay? Because this is worthy of sharing. Evidently, David kind of got Stephen Dinehart's ruffles feathered or feathered ruffles, and this is what you got, correct?
Yes.
Let me read it for anybody who cannot, because it's my pleasure to read this. He says, "Hello. This is yet another warning to stop defaming me and my work. Your incessant cyber stalking these many years, which is well documented, is not only illegal but criminal, and you will pay the price for it. Please cease immediately and stay away from my people, business, and projects. As a former associate, it's especially disheartening. You are putting yourself at significant risk of liability for not only your criminal actions, but damages. Sincerely, Stephen Dinehart, President, Wonderfilled, Inc."
Oh, this whole thing, what gives me what I get a kick out of most is the former associate, because he's pointed out in the past that, all this criticism and all this bad talk about me is coming from a fellow game designer. Like, we're all supposed to pretend that other game designers don't do shoddy work. We're supposed to stick up for each other, man. If you make a crap product, I don't care who you are. I don't, you could be my own family. I'm gonna let you know about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And there's a law that this guy misses, or let me back up. There's a standard of law this guy misses, and that is, if you are a public figure, like Wizard Tower Games is a public figure, the Vlog of Many Things is. If Kim Winson, and I'm gonna pick on Kim because he just posted. Hi, Kim. If Kim went ahead and did a blog post and said, "You know what? I just watched last night's episode, and I really think Don and Tom did a horrible job. I think their videos suck, etc., etc." That's not slander. He's giving an editorial opinion on something like he has a right to do. And I think what got Dinehart in a big gruff here is that, he posts work publicly and then gets mad when people point out the fact that it's riddled with misspellings or errors. And
I first heard from him when I did my Giant Lands review.
Mm-hmm. Hi, RPG Grandma.
That was what, like 18 months ago, year and a half
Yeah.
ago, and he was very bothered by it. Now, admittedly, I don't know at any point I have not said, or at least I don't think I've said anything that is not wrong or anything that's not like a lie or anything like that. I even with my reporting on New TSR, I report what is clearly visible by everybody else. This recently, he posted a page, an excerpt from The Broken Road, his adventure with James Ward's last adventure. And
he says,
which it's, I don't think it is, because I think there's like some other James Ward adventure coming out at the same time, so it's arguable which came last. But I posted that image, and my exact words were that it's not great, quote unquote. And apparently that bothered him.
Apparently that's illegal and criminal.
Yeah.
Which begs the question is, if something's illegal, because he says it's illegal and criminal, so something could be illegal but not criminal.
Well,
to be fair, he's in Florida too, so things are a little sketchy down here.
Well, but the thing is, in all fairness, though, I mean, what Dinehart, and sadly what a lot of publishers do here, is what they do is, instead of getting criticism and going, "Oh, is this legitimate criticism? Let me take a look at what they're criticizing," they instead get mad. And I want to show one more thing here, okay? Because I think that actually this is the proper way of handling it. And that is, this is Wizard Tower Games' Facebook page. All right. This gentleman, Christopher Robert Adams, who I don't know, pointed out that I had a misspelling on my website. Now, how did I respond to that? I didn't cuss him out. I didn't threaten legal action. I actually thanked him because he helped me. You know, he pointed it out. I said, thank you very much. And I made light of it. And what did I do? I went ahead and we fixed it. And that's, I think, the mistakes that people like Lanasa and Dinehart make is instead of taking a look at the critique and going, how can I make this better? How can I fix this? They immediately draw the 6 guns and start blazing at the car, you know, and that's just not the right way to do it.
As an example, prior to my 5th edition publications, I did a lot of 4th edition publications. I published probably a dozen things on 4th edition. Never used an editor for any of my 4th edition projects. Even Save-Off, which was nominated for an ENnie, never used an editor. Didn't pay for an editor, nothing. Just typed it up, published it. A lot of it was crap. I freely admit that. And, you know, I've had people pointing out, like, dude, you need to buy an editor. I'm like, yes, I know. But, you know, I accept that under the circumstances, that's what I was able to do at the time. I am open to criticism and suggestion. If anybody has a problem with anything that I publish or anything that I've done, please let me know. I'm constantly seeking to better myself, which is more than I can say for these people, the Wonderfills and the new TSRs of the world.
Yeah, and that's all we can ever ask of anybody is look, all right, you did bad here, but just do better. And I'm okay with that. But when somebody doubles down on, you know, on their mistake and, you know, they go on the attack and you're wrong for how dare you criticize me. You know, it's a legit criticism, you know, criticizing. And, you know, you are so thin-skinned, you can't even take it. So, you know, I agree with you. It's certainly this is the best policy. Just, all right, we didn't do the best today. We will do better tomorrow. And
I am willing to, if Dinehart wants, and I don't know if he's listening to this or not. Who the hell knows? I am willing to comp him a free copy of everything I've published. And if he wants to do a critique of it, a legit critique of it, in the same manner that I did his product, he is happy to do so. I will invite that. And I will not be angry about it. I will not lash out. I will not threaten to sue, even though I very well can, because as I've mentioned before, I have family that is very eager to defend me. I'm open to that.
So, well, that's kind of a generous offer. Everything you've ever published.
But what it does, though,
To him,
is,
yes. I'm not like going to give out the thing that, well, admittedly, that's one of my traits that I tend to give a lot away.
well, but also what you're doing at the same time is you're basically sending a message out going, listen, I'm willing to give my product for review to an individual that I know does not care much for me. And you know most likely the result of that. But it's sort of like, you know, there's a truth to writing. You know, when you present something to the public, if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's a misspelled word, it's misspelled. Period. Accept it. Be grateful it was pointed out so you can fix it and then move on.
I've had at least 2 different people point out that the preview that I include in the Kickstarter for Atomic Age, they're like, you really need an editor. I'm like, I know that. That's the point of the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Because I can't pay for an editor now, but hopefully I will.
Well, okay, I got a different kind of question for you, David. Okay. You know your game better than anybody. What is the Kickstarter breakdown for? Why is it? Tell the people wanting to back it. Why do you need that kind of money to put a role playing game out?
Yeah, I've talked about this on my Twitter feed.
Yeah.
A bit.
That's what I'm asking. I wanted to kind of let people kind of get a vibe.
I did a lot of math because one of my biggest fear is to be in the red, to be in the negative and not be able to. The phone calls begin. Be in the red and not be able to publish what I promised.
Mm-hmm.
So I came up with the value of 60. It's actually 16,000 is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
My actual to be in the black, I need like in the 20s. Like I think it was 21,000, but I didn't want to go higher than 20. I didn't want to go that high. Of the 16,000, Kickstarter and taxes take up a third easily.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that a lot of people don't realize that Kickstarter money you got to pay taxes on.
Yeah.
And that's like 20. That's what 24, 25%.
24.5.
Yeah, and then Kickstarter takes 10.5%. So that's easily a third.
Yep.
Then I have an editor, which is like I have editors that offer to do it at 2.5 cents a word, which is brutally low.
That's very low.
Most editors will charge you 5-6 cents or more or higher.
Yeah. And it's also depending on the kind of edit you're having done.
Yeah, and it's not a 20-page adventure. We're talking 300 pages, so that's a lot. Then obviously the cost of printing. I've budgeted a print run of I think it was 250, which is optimistic, but I had to put something. I have to pay my cartographer. I have to. Those are the big ones, really. It's and that is with hardly paying anything for art. And that's what I've been able to do, and I get bothered easily because I see other Kickstarters basically offering the same thing that I just launched today. 13 parsecs, which looks like a great product, and I know the people that are doing it, and they really know what they're doing. They're like, okay, this exact same thing, hardcover book, everything. Our funding goal is $1,500. And I reached out to them. I'm like, how is that even possible? Because if I put a funding goal, knowing my luck, and if anybody follows me on social media, you know what my luck is like. If I set a goal of 1,500, I will probably back at like 1,501, and then I'll be pretty much screwed. So currently, my funding goal is what I need to publish the product without being in the red.
Well, and also there's certain aspects that you have a closer way to control than most do, because I'm doing your printing for you and I'm doing your binding, so we can work a little bit more intimately together about getting the printing and binding done. There's things that can be done to keep the quality level up there and maintain that very, very high standard of quality. And these are just a whole bunch of things that we can do. Like, as an example, I'm getting ready to do other printing. So to get a better price on paper, I can go ahead and order your paper with another couple projects paper. And since I'm buying more, the price goes down. And instead of going to you like other binders would do and say, I gave you a price, that's what you're paying. If I can get it down, $1 a manual because of paper savings, I'm going to turn that over to you too, because we're friends and I want to help you out, So if I can save $1 a manual on paper, that's going to be given to you also. So there's a lot of ways this can get a little tweaking and help too.
Yeah.
So Scott Mulder, real quick. Scott, again, thanks for the comment. He says, holy crap, my most recent project is 12,500 words, and at 2 cents a word, that's already $250. Well, I guess I'll remain micro vanity press. Scott, I'm just going to throw something at you real quick, my friend. $250 to edit a book is a really good price. 2 cents a word is astronomically, you got a deal, especially if they're a good editor.
The estimates I've gotten, the estimate that I got at 2.5 is from somebody that I've used before. And we estimated between 120 and 180,000 words, which is full load, 300 pages.
Yep.
It's no small task.
Yeah.
And then to give you an idea of how OCD I am about the budgeting, I budgeted 100 ISBN numbers.
Mhm.
And also, in order, I keep that funding goal low. That's without paying me. I don't pay myself as a writer.
Okay, I want to say something because I know some eyebrows just got raised when you said you budgeted 100 ISBNs. Let me explain something to everybody about how ISBNs work. First of all, there's only one place on the internet, period, that you can legitimately buy ISBNs, and that's a place called myidentifiers.com. The company's called Boker. There are other places that sell ISBNs online, but they go to Boker, buy the ISBNs in bulk. And the problem is when you buy an ISBN from like isbns.com, your ISBN number will list their company as the publisher, if they even register it properly with Boker at the back end. And what David's talking about doing is you can go to Boker and you can buy an ISBN for $25. Or you can buy blocks of ISBNs, 25 of them, 50, 100 of them, and you get them literally for pennies then.
I think 100 of them were like $525.
Thank you. Yes. So what you're doing is you can buy one for $25, or you can buy 100 of them and spend right around $5 a piece for them. And if you're a publisher, you get those blocks, and they're sequential blocks for you. Like with Wizard Tower Games, we bought 500. So we're set on ISBNs for everything, and you really want to have a unique ISBN on anything booklet related or products like that.
And when you look it up, it'll be Darklight Interactive. That's the
Absolutely.
actual publisher, and you
Yep.
can take that ISBN number. You can go to stores. You can go to Amazon. You can go.
Yep.
I mean, you can do anything with it.
Yep. And it's critical, and David's doing it in a very professional way, and that tells you how he runs his operation also, because by doing it professionally, when this goes to press, David can approach, like as an example, a Barnes & Noble buyer, and he can say, I have an RPG game, I want to make it available, not just on barnesnoble.com, I want it in stores. The first thing they're going to ask you is, what's the ISBN number? And they're going to put that number in the system, and it tells everything about that product. How many they got to order at a time? Do you offer returns? Size, page count, everything. Even has an image of the cover in Boker.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there should tell everybody right now watching this the level of professionalism that's going into this project.
I have, unlike other publishers that we've mentioned in the past, I like to think that I have a certain publishing standards, which are probably why I'm not as successful as other publishers, because you see it a lot in the DMs Guild where people just upload crap, and with sufficient volume they're reasonably successful, but their products are still crap. I would rather make less to have a substantially better product.
Absolutely. And Rod says, I think Twilight Fables, which is a product that he published, cost $3,800 for an editor. And Tim Winston says creative work is hard. Yes, absolutely, it's hard. All three of us do stuff, and all three of us can relate. It's 9:00 on a flippin' Tuesday night. I'm going to be at this computer working.
I'm at work.
You're at work. Yeah. And,
I want to say about the creative work is hard. Coming up with ideas and cool ideas and stuff, for me, that's actually easy. But the hard part is the last 100 yards of the 400. It's that getting it across the finish line. All right, we got to edit this. We've got to illustrate this. We've got to, we got to finish this. We need to, all right, we finished it, but we got to go back and do all the stat blocks, because you skipped that while you're writing. You were having so much fun writing, you just rushed ahead. You skipped all the stat blocks. So you got to go back and do that. You got to go back and look up stat blocks for robots because they're different. And so it's like, oh, I got to do that. And so getting across the finish line sometimes is what the really hard part is.
I've reached a point where I will not publish anything that's not edited.
Mhm.
There was a time when, yes, I published crap. I admit that. It did not do well. It was kind of an embarrassment. But now I'm at the point where if it's not edited, it's not.
But
I'm
but
not publishing.
this is the kicker. This is the issue with editing, and this is a really good example that you said you're not going to publish anything that's not edited. I mean, even editors are human beings, and again, we go right back, and I really push this as how you interact with your customers on your business page. I'm a firm believer. I don't play politics on my business page. That's not what my page is for, Wizard Tower Games. And when you edit and you have an editor that provides you with an edit and there's a mistake made, you don't call up your editor screaming at them going, how come you did this? What you do is you acknowledge that there's an issue and you fix it, just like you were saying.
The fastest way to find a typo is to publish something.
I'll clarify. The fastest way to find a typo is put it on Twitter.
Yeah, that's kind of the same token.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering what some certain troll in North Carolina's problem is. He can never find his own typos.
He didn't care.
Well, I've had sending something to an editor is the biggest. It's imposter syndrome revisited. Because when they come back and it's like red markings like all over the place, with the same mistake you make, like into, I know it's one word. I know absolutely it's one word, but I keep typing in this too, and I do it like 100 times in a document. I admire an editor's patience to point out each one of those instances.
Well, I'll tell you someone that's an editor who is a saint. Tim Kask.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yep, absolutely. Because, he did the editing on Lost Adventures of Gary Con, and what he did was he took my world information, and it's stuff that I did 15 years ago. And, David's right. You open up that document and it's like, boo, 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 boo. It looks like someone spilt red paint all over the paper, But RPG Grandma says Tim knows his stuff.
Yep.
Yes, he does. He absolutely does. And, good editors make us creators look good.
Yeah.
So real quick, back to Atomic Age though, and back to the core product. So if I have Atomic Age, do I need like the entire set of polyhedral dice? Is it just one dice, two dice? What do I need?
Ultimately, yes. I mean, 80% of your rolls are going to be a D20. And we also have an additional mechanic. Rather than using advantage, disadvantage, we have bonus and penalty dice. So, like if you have a bonus die, you roll a D6 and you add it to the D20.
Yep.
That mechanic came actually from Shadow of the Demon World by Rob Schwab.
Yep.
So you need a D20, preferably a couple of D20s, a couple of D6s. I mean, we use basically everything else is going to be damage at some point, which you can roll, you can average, you can do it any way you want.
Yeah.
And in addition, one of the stretch goals, or actually I think a couple of the stretch goals, is to have. My intent is to create a website that not only has all the rules, but has you can create your characters online. You can the whole bestiary is online, searchable. I mean, I am a software developer, so I might as well.
Yeah.
I've already written an app like. To make sure the math is right on all my monsters, I wrote an app to do that. So yeah, that is my plan. I mean, if it funds in the Kickstarter, if it hits that stretch goal, it'll happen faster. But if not, it'll happen eventually.
Well, I'm pressing right now. I'm going to repost into the comments the Atomic Age Kickstarter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to really, if you haven't given something, and if you can't give anything, if you can at least copy that link and maybe just share it to your friends and just say, hey, this is a cool project. You know, not everybody has fluid money laying around. I respect it. I'm sure David and Tom do too, if you don't have the cash to throw down on it, but it doesn't cost you anything to share a link.
It's been pointed out to me that I don't offer anything for people if they pledge early.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an early bird thing, which is
Mhm.
arguably an oversight. So, I mean, arguably, it'd be nice if you can pledge now, or if you can
Yep.
pledge before it ends. Swell.
Yep. Well, and keep in mind, for those who think about this, if you pledge, if a Kickstarter funds early, or halfway through the project it can fund, that's going to spur people on to go, wow, this is really something to give my money to. And everybody likes helping see something get bigger, and like overkill the Kickstarter. Real quick, because we're at an hour now. Kim Winston's saying, but will you go to people's houses to make sure they play the way you want? Some studios seems to think that happens.
You pay my travel. I'll be more than happy to point out what you did wrong.
Calvione, thanks for tuning into the show.
Also, I just want to point out on the Kickstarter, you can just pledge $1 just to help out. Hey, or you could pledge an amount, any amount you want.
Yeah.
No reward.
I've had a few people who pledge $1, and they do that just so that they get the updates.
Yep. Because they want to possibly donate more or pledge more later on.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
so,
or it could be Justin Lanassa. He just wants to follow your updates and criticize you later.
Never know. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's a great game. It seems to be moving along. We got you a few bucks more in the coffer right now. We're trying to spread the word, help you out. David, before we go, anything else you want to say about the Kickstarter? Anything coming up, new projects?
Right now, my entire mind is on the Kickstarter. Of course, we have multiple projects. You and I have one project.
Yep.
Which I should get back to at some point. I'm trying to not work on Atomic Age while the Kickstarter is running. So, I mean, I've been poking at it for like the last 12 years. But
we can work on Zonk if you want. Hint, hint, hint.
The thoughts, I may need a diversion. So, yeah, the thoughts cross my mind.
Yep. But, I really wish you luck. I really do. I mean, I've kind of got my feet into it a little bit, helping out best I can. And I really want to see this come to fruition. I think it will. I think you're on the way, and it'd be one thing if you're looking at percentages and you're like way behind the 8 ball based on time left, but you're right in line if this keeps up to fund.
Admittedly, a lot of the marketing initiatives that I had planned did not go through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was talking to one marketing company, a very well-known one, for weeks, and at the end, like 2 days before I was going to launch the Kickstarter, like, well, you don't have a video on your listing, so we can't help you.
Well, thanks for letting me know.
I'm like, okay. And then another one says, oh, like I contacted another one yesterday, and like, oh, we only help Kickstarters before they launch. I'm like, okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
I tried Facebook. I got one backer for $1. I tried Google Ads. I got nothing. So, just keep plugging away at it in whatever way I can.
That's what marketing's all about. You got to keep plugging away, but
climbing the hill.
Yep. But David, we've hit our hour. We appreciate it. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you. You can have me on anytime.
Yeah. Like I said, for those of you who are going to be looking at this later on, I'm going to put a link in the comments, actually on the video, once the video is done on YouTube. Also going to share the link on my business and my personal Facebook page, try to help spur on. And again, anybody else, even if you can't donate, no big deal. Just share the link, because sharing is absolutely 100% cost you nothing.
Yeah.
So again, David, we wish you luck.
Thank you guys for having me.
Hopefully it'll be on. So everybody, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the comments. Please go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button to the Vlog of Many Things. head on over to Tabletop Tap Room with Tom. Hit that subscribe button for his channel. If you're watching on Wizard Tower Games, please hit that subscribe button. You help us out a lot. So I am Don.
And I'm Tom.
And this is the Vlog of Many Things signing up. Again, David, thank you very much for tuning in. We very much appreciate it.
Great. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. We'll talk to you guys later.